Hello, hello. Hey everyone, welcome to another Ielts journey with Fabi, where we talk about everything, anything Ielts test. Woohoo! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fabi. I am an Ielts expert here in Brisbane, Australia, and I help people get. Sorry, I help people prove their English level so they can work, study, and live abroad. Okay, so if that's what you want, you are in the right place. Okay, let me know where you're watching me from. Which country? Where are you? And I love to know where you guys are watching me from. Okay, and for those of you who are ready to take a big step when it comes to the IELTS test, on the let me remember the dates. Where are they? 18th, 18th, 18th. Yes. Okay. On the 18th, 20th, and 22nd of August, I have a special event called IELTS Booster. Okay. And this event is 100% free and 100% online. So if you're ready to take your IELTS game to the next level, make sure you join this workshop. Okay. Because on this workshop, I'll tell you everything you need to know about the IELTS test. All right. From the mistakes my students make to strategies and lots more. Okay. So if you're ready to join, there is a link. If you're watching me on YouTube, there is a link in the description of the video. And if you are watching me on Instagram, just type join and you'll be able to join. Okie dokie. So lesson 1 will be on the 18th of August, lesson 2, 20th, and lesson 3, 22nd of August. Okie dokie. All right, let's get started. So let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, okay. So today we are going to talk about how the IELTS test is not your problem. No, the IELTS test is not your problem. And what the real problem is. Okay. So if you think the IELTS test is a problem, just say, I do in the comments. If you think the IELTS test is a problem, just say, I do in the my hair. Oh my God. Just say, I do in the comments. All right. Okay. How many of you have said, I hate the IELTS test? How many people? Hmm? Okay. Maybe if you hate the IELTS test, maybe you can just put an angry face here in the chat and sorry, in the comments. Do you hate the IELTS test? Or the examiners are unfair? If you think the IELTS examiners are unfair, maybe you can just put a sad face here. What do you think? Just a sad face for me. Okay, so if you hate the IELTS test or if you think the examiners are a little bit unfair, guys, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, and I probably know why you got there. Okay, if you hate the IELTS test, I know how and why you got there. Okay, and I will tell you that it's not really like that. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So I feel that most people don't like the IELTS test. It's not because of the test itself, but how they study. That's what happens most of the time. Okay. How you prepare for it will dictate how you feel about the test. Okay. What happens is if you have if you're studying anything, actually, if anything that you are doing, okay, guys, if you're doing anything in your life and for any reason you don't succeed, you don't do very well, you think it's hard. But sometimes it's just the way you're doing things that is not very good. It's not that what you're trying to do is bad. It's not that what you're trying to do is too hard. It's not that you're not capable. Maybe it's just the way you're doing things is not really working. Okay, that's the only thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so if you hate the IELTS test, sorry, if you hate the IELTS test, okay, it's probably because you don't have the right guidance. And I'm going to talk about this today. Okay, but sorry, oh my god. If you guys are watching me on Instagram, maybe you'd like to go over to YouTube because I'm going to share my screen today. Okay, so when I share my screen, I can't quite share my screen on Instagram. It's much easier for me to share my screen on YouTube. All right. So if you are watching me on Instagram, try going to YouTube, please. Fabi English on YouTube. Okay, cool. So before I'll give you time to move over to YouTube. Okay. So before you move over, let me just tell you a little story. Okay. I had a student, okay, a few years ago, 4 years ago now, 3 years ago now, I think more like 3 years ago. His name is Hector, okay, and soon, well, I interviewed him, and because he achieved something very, very uh, interesting, and the way he achieved it was even more interesting. And will be able to see his interview, live interview soon. It'll be available soon for you to watch it, but I'm just going to give you a little introduction to him, okay? Because he's a great example of someone who absolutely hated the test, but it was just the way he was studying wasn't the best, okay? So when I met Hector, Hector had done the IELTS test 10 times already. He needed a 7 in writing, and he could not get the 7 in writing, okay? So he was getting, I think, 8 for most things, 8 for listening, 8 for reading, and I think 7.5 in speaking. But he kept getting 6 in writing. 6, 6, 6. 10 times 6. Okay, 10 times 6. So what happened was he studied in certain ways. He had a few teachers and blah blah blah. And then uh, one day, his teacher, who knows me, said, "Look, I've tried lots of things with you. It's time for you to maybe look for another teacher. Maybe another teacher will talk to you in a different way, and you will understand more." And then she said, "I know this very good teacher, Fabi. Get in touch with her." And then he got in touch with me. And then I remember our first class together. It was on a Friday night, and then he had a test booked for the next day. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing the test every month." I said, "Why?" He's like, "Because I need to get the 7 to apply for my residency." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And then I helped him. No, I had an hour, and then we had an hour together, and then he got his first 6.5 the next day. So he got very excited. But because, why? Because after talking to him, I could see what was wrong. Okay. So Hector is from Mexico, and he was a journalist in Mexico. Okay. And just imagine journalists, they're very good at writing. And he was very good at writing, but not writing for the IELTS test. Not writing an essay about a specific topic with 250 words more in 40 minutes. He wasn't ready for that. But he was still trying to apply whatever he had learned as a journalist. And he had studied in so many ways: private teachers, English schools, online courses, so many things he had done. So he had too much information. He didn't have one specific method to follow. That was his main problem. So when after talking to him, I could see that it was really messy. All the information that he had collected for those 10 tests that he had done. All right. So And I could notice that very quickly. And that was the first thing I said to him. I said, look, you have a lot of information in your head right now, but I work in a different way. And I want to tell you how I work. I want to show you how I work and we will see if it works. And he said, okay, fine. And the next day he got a 6.5. So he improved a little bit already. He's like, okay, Fabi, I think your method will work for me. Let's go. And then after, I think, 6 months, 4 or 5 months, he did another 3, 4 tests and he finally got the 7. He finally got the 7. Because again, we started working together and I had to change the way he looked at the test and how he did his writing. But thank God, he was getting so 6, 6, 6, and then 6.5, 6.5, and then finally the 7. And do you think that he hated the IELTS test during this process? What do you think? Probably, right? He probably absolutely hated the IELTS test during this process. Okay. So my job was also to show him how to work with the test, not against the test. Okay. And that's something I'm going to share with you guys today. I'm going to show you a little bit of it today. Okay. So that was one of the things that we did together and that managed to improve. Okay. About half a point in less than 24 hours. Okay, and then of course it took him a little bit longer to get to the 7, but he managed to get there. Okay, because yeah, okay, sorry guys, sorry. So yeah, so going back, so yes, he hated the test while he was studying, of course. Okay, but then you will have to see his interview. His interview will be available soon. Okay, you have to see his interview after doing the test and achieving the 7. Do you know what he said? After getting my 7 and applying for my PR, I know I can do anything. That's what he said, his words. He's a citizen in Australia already. He's a citizen now, you know? So he said, after this, after all of being through, I can do anything. He did the test 15 times. Okay, guys, 15 times, but he got there in the end. He did get there. All right. So, and now he sees that the IELTS test wasn't that bad. It was just a step, something that he needed to go through. And once he understood how the test works, that's when everything changed for him. But unfortunately, he managed to get to a method that worked for him after doing 10 tests. Okay, so that was the problem. Okay, so up to that point he was very upset, and I agree, you guys get very upset. However, if you are doing something in a way that you are actually working with the test, not against the test, that makes a gigantic difference. Okay, and that's when a method comes in. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you, but if you're watching me on Instagram, if you could go to YouTube, okay, so it's Fabi English on YouTube. All right, so just head there, and we can start. I'm gonna share my screen. Where is it? Let me see. Hmm. 1 second. Okay, maybe it's gonna work now. Okay. Come on. No. Yeah, it's here. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to give you an example. Okay, guys, just a quick example here. So we're talking about working with the test, not against it. And that's something that people forget to talk about many, many times. So many times. Okay. So what happens here? Have you seen this before? This is a task tube for the IELTS test. Okay, so this is a writing task 2. So for the writing part of the IELTS test, there are 2 parts, task 1 and task 2, right? It doesn't matter if you're going to do academic or general, there are always 2 tasks. This is task 2. You have to write more than 250 words, okay? And you have to do it in 40 to 45 minutes because they give you 1 hour to do the full writing. And my recommendation is 15 to 20 minutes to do task 1, and then, of course, 40 to 45 minutes to do task 2. Okay, so this is a task, all right? And just tell me in the comments, when you see this, how do you feel? What do you think about when you see this? Some people feel scared. Some people feel worried. Okay, lots of different feelings, lots and lots of different feelings here. Okay, so when you look here, there are some steps that you should follow. There are a few things that you should do so you can understand the task well, and you can also produce a good piece of writing. Okay, and that's something that few people tell you. Okay, for example, can you see that the question has 2 parts, right? So we have the first, because here, as you can see, we have 2 views. Okay, so you have the first sentence would be view number 1, and the second sentence would be view number 2. Mhm. And a lot of people won't talk about the views. They would just focus on what? The opinion. So many of my students make this mistake. They will look at this and they go, okay, some people think students should learn the science of food and how to prepare it. Others think they should learn important subjects instead. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, maybe they would just quickly talk about one view, another view, and just give their opinion. Okay, or some of them will just give the opinion in the beginning without an introduction and then start writing. Some people would just forget the opinion. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Okay, guys. So when you look at this and you don't know what to do, yes, the IELTS test is very scary. Yes, you will hate it. But when you understand it, when you have a simple method that you can follow, it's not scary anymore. You don't hate it anymore. And I keep telling people, some people don't believe me, but I keep telling them the IELTS the writing for the IELTS test in general. Actually, yeah, let's say the IELTS test in general. It's not hard. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's very, very simple. It's a very simple test. Once you understand how it works, it's very simple. And then you go and you just do it. But you have to understand it first. And that's what people don't do. They watch 10,000 videos online. And then they start practicing and they don't succeed because they have too much information. They don't even know what works for them. And again, guys, I'm here telling you about my students and how I help them. But again, I help them because my method worked for them. People are different. If you're here today, you're here with me, maybe because you liked my voice, or maybe because you liked the information I share. Okay. But when you become a student, okay, after the workshop, you will see maybe if my method works for you. And if it works for you, you can be my student, you know? Yeah. So that's why it's good to have so many videos online so you can find one person that you like. But when you find a person that you like, stick with this person. Because if you keep jumping from YouTube channel to YouTube channel, you will be just like Hector. And you have so much information, you won't know what to do with it. Okay? And I'm here to give you information so you can make your choices. All right. But the most important thing, guys, is if you are still thinking that the IELTS test is scary and complicated, you are not following the right method. Okay. You will know when you are following the right method when the IELTS test becomes simple, when you stop hating it. Okay, guys. So that's why I'm here today to talk to you. I'm here today to talk to you about this. Okay, because the IELTS test is not the problem. How you are preparing for it is the real problem. All right, guys. If you have any questions, you can pop the questions in. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Let me go back here. Lovely. Okay, cool. Hello, Muhammad. Muhammad sent a message here. All right. Okay. Cool. All right, guys. So that's it. Okay. So that's something I wanted to share with you today. Okay. And again, if you're ready to take your IELTS game to the next level, join me for the workshop IELTS Booster. 100% free, 100% online. There will be 3 lessons. The first lesson will be on the 18th of August. Second lesson, 20th of August. Third lesson, 22nd of August. Okay, so 3 lessons, huh? How do you join? What's the best way to join? If you're watching me on Instagram, just type join in the comments. If you're watching me on YouTube, there will be a link in the description of this video for you to join. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, pop questions in there. Okay, I'll get to them at the end if I don't see it right now. Okay, let me check my notes. Yeah, okay, yeah. So a few things that maybe will make you understand the IELTS better, okay, when it comes to a method, okay? You probably need a weekly plan. You have to know what you have to do each step of the way, okay? You need strategies. And one thing that you need maybe is support. Lots of That's why people sometimes don't like online courses, because they don't have support. Okay, so maybe when you're choosing a course, when you're choosing a method, make sure you have support. Okay, guys, make sure you have support, because I tell my students, I tell them, hey, you paid me to help you. If you don't know what to do, that's when you send me a message. Fabi, I'm lost. Fabi, I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, what was the last thing you did? I'll tell you what you have to do next. Okay. And also checking your progress, guys. You have to check your progress. You have to know where you are and where you need to be at all times. Okay. Because if you don't check your progress, you really don't know what you you are going to do. All right. Goody goody. Cool. Any questions for me today? Let me check my notes. Did I forget anything? I don't think so. No. Talked about the writing. I told you about Hector. I think that was it. That was it. Any questions for me? Any questions for me? No questions for me? Nope. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go now. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. And so again, join the workshop. Join the workshop, IELTS Booster. Okay, guys. You will see that by the end of the workshop, you will know everything you need to know about the IELTS test, everything you need to know to be able to take the next step and do the test and succeed. All right. I'll see you at the workshop. Okay, guys. All right. And again, if you have any questions for me, the best way to get in touch with me at the moment, if you have already joined the workshop, you are probably in a WhatsApp group. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet, join the WhatsApp group. Okay. So if you are in the WhatsApp group, you can send me a message there too. Okay, feel free to send me a message there. And also Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, Fabi_English, send me a message there. True. I usually check those messages there and I can get back to you. All right, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna head out now, but I'll be back tomorrow with more for you. Okay, see you later. Bye.